This episode is brought to you by Burn, the fitness company behind the Today Show approved Burn board. If I'm being honest, working out can be a real chore, especially as a new dad in desperate need of sleep and cardio. Burn is founded by NEPA native Jimmy T. Martin, and his Burn board offers a low-impact core and cardio experience unlike anything I've done before. They have hundreds of on-demand workouts that are great for beginners, seasoned athletes, and out-of-shape podcast hosts who love supporting small businesses. My wife and I use it pretty frequently throughout the week, and it's honestly a great way to burn a ton of calories without burning a ton of cash. Not to mention, it's a great tool for skiers, runners, wrestlers, and hockey players. Jimmy is offering all On the Stacks listeners 15% off when they use the code STACKS15. Visit theburn.com today to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15 at checkout. Again, that's theburn, THEBRRN.com to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15. It's time to get on board today with Burn. This episode is brought to you by Blue Door Financial. Blue Door Financial will help you save money and reduce taxes to live a fuller financial life. To learn more, visit Blue Door Financial online at BLUdoorfinancial.com. That's BLUdoorfinancial.com.
There's something about making a product that you may not know exactly where it ends up, but I know if I'm a DoD contractor, I'm defending our freedoms somewhere, in some way. The product that I make might play a pivotal role in protecting our freedoms, or at the very least, protecting one of our warfighters.
Oh yeah, whoa. Look, they can never keep me down, I'm going. And if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.
Hi, I'm Bill Corcoran Jr. This is the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Eric Esoda, President and CEO of NEPIRC. What's up, podcast? Episode 111 of the On the Stacks podcast here in the Blue Door studio. Welcome to the show, Eric. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Bill. I'm really excited to be here. It's wonderful that folks are starting to get out again and network and talk and reconnect. And to do this today is really an honor. I'm really delighted that you invited me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and you did a phenomenal job bringing the props. You got lot of branded stuff here. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that your outfit, the logos, the superhero, the boxes. Like you went all out, which is the right thing to do.
No, branding is important. It's important to us. It's important to our clients. We definitely want to get our name out there, and it's all about brand placement. So I appreciate the opportunity to bring the brand to your audience.
So all right, so over 20 years at NEPIRC. And people, are probably wondering, like, all right, what's NEPIRC? What's Eric all about? He's been there for 20 years. He loves manufacturing. Where did this all get started for you?
Oh, that's a great question, and there's a bit of a story there, so you'll have to bear with me.
Yeah, tell it.
It's one of those where, and we've all heard the adage that if you find something you're really passionate about, you find something that you really believe in, you'll never work a day in your life. And I really feel that I've been very blessed that I'm the embodiment of that story, and I live that story every day. In terms of how it got started. I grew up in a predominantly manufacturing family. My father worked in manufacturing when I was growing up. My mother worked in manufacturing prior to staying home with the kids, because I have a sister who's 2 years my senior. So she was able to stay home, but my dad was always involved in working in manufacturing. And he worked his way up so that by the time I was 5 or 6 years old, he had the freedom and flexibility to bring me with him to work. So whenever there was a snow day, over the summer when I wasn't playing ball or I wasn't practicing or doing something in the neighborhood, or whenever they just want to keep me out of trouble, right? My dad would say, okay, hop in the car and you're coming to work with me.
You're coming to work.
That's you're coming to work, because OSHA be damned, right? You're coming to work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his company by any means, but he was just at that point, and this was going back in like the 70s, right? Where, you were getting away with a lot, right? And so I would go to work with Dad. And the manufacturing facility really was where I feel like I grew up.
What did he do?
He worked for a Department of Defense contractor. So I won't name that company because it's still in existence and still doing very well and is one of our clients. But they operate in a very competitive space. So and because of some of the stories I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to name the company.
Of course.
but I grew up there. And it was kind of like where you learn to string together your first couple of cuss words. You see your first, at that time, Playboy magazine. You smoke your first cigarette. It's where you grew up, because my dad would bring me there from when I was 6 years old. And I remember the guys, right? The two Carmens, Barini, Kabeski. And these were all the folks that I hung out with. And I really enjoyed walking the floor and just being with those guys. At the time, it was a predominantly male company, and I just enjoyed being with them, and they enjoyed, I think, kind of, I was like their adopted son,
showing you the ropes.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I just kept on going there and learning more and just being more involved, just watching. Right, I'm a kid. I'm not really doing much. I wasn't working the nail gun until I was about 10 years old.
Yeah, so you got a little experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
about 10 or 11 or 12 years old, I was walking there using the nail gun and learning how to do some of the packaging and stuff like that. And at that time, whenever we created things off to our armed forces overseas, everybody that worked on that particular product would sign the crate, and so I got to sign the crate as well as a young kid. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I really had an appreciation for manufacturing from a really early age. And then my dad would bring home a lot of work as well, right? Because as he got into the more supervisory roles and the more like the foreman role, I was calculating, material variances, labor variances, shortages, overages, tonnage shipped, tonnage received from, for as long as I could remember.
Wow.
So that was like, do your math homework and then help me figure out all these variances.
Other math, second math homework.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was just in my blood. It was really what I believed in. And I saw our family advance because of my father's career in manufacturing and what it availed us to and what it made possible for us. Those new cars, some of the more modern luxuries. We had a pool in the backyard. Our quality of life slowly and gradually started to improve. And I attributed that all to the advancement of my father's career. So I really believed in it, and got the opportunity to attend the University of Scranton, where I majored in accounting. And at that time, the University of Scranton allowed that if your parent worked there, your dependents could go to the University of Scranton for free, which was huge, right? And
absolutely.
At that time, we had myself and my sister, again, 2 years my senior. There would be at least a 2-year overlap, right, in our time at the University of Scranton. And so my father said, well, I've been in manufacturing an awfully long time, and maybe it's time for me to retire, and I'll become a custodian at the University of Scranton. So he did that, which was great. But it created a different dynamic, because now I'm parking in the lot at Jefferson Hall, and I'm walking past my father, who's cleaning the restrooms. And people would wonder, well, geez, Eric, you're doing pretty good in college. You're getting straight A's and A minuses, and you're in the honors club and all this kind of stuff. Well, I just had to walk past my dad scrubbing toilets so I can go here. How did you think I was going to perform? Like, C's weren't going to cut it. C pluses weren't going to cut. I was going to do what I needed to do to get those grades, because I saw firsthand the sacrifice that my father, albeit willingly, was still taking on so that I could attend the University of Scranton.
Wow.
And so that was like really, really cool for me to have that experience of seeing the sacrifices that were made and really rising, I felt, humbly to the challenge put before me to perform well, make this worth it. So that was kind of an interesting 4 years at the University of Scranton. I enjoyed it a ton. And then I had the chance to go for my master's at Binghamton University and did that. All the while kind of still remembering my love for manufacturing. And to some extent, my love for Northeastern Pennsylvania, which was greatly different from what it was, back then to what it is now, right? And I ended up working for KPMG in Syracuse, and then later in Rochester, Buffalo, and as far as Youngstown, Ohio. And fortunately, they immediately slotted me in their steel production line of consulting and attestation. So I was with Crucible Steel, Solvay Steel, Auburn Steel, Surveys, some big-time steel clients at the time, and I was like that fish back in water. Like this was the smell I was used to. These are the guys and the gals I'm used to. This is the environment that I'm used to seeing and thriving in, and I feel most comfortable. And I enjoyed it. I really dove right into it, and I was back like where I belong.
You felt home.
Yeah, I did. But I wasn't home.
Home away from home.
Right. I was home,
In a
away
sense.
from home.
Yeah.
And as you would imagine, and as many of us experience, your folks are giving you the full court press. Well, when are you going to come back home? Right? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, and when are you going to come back to northeastern Pennsylvania? And I said, if you find a job where I can do what I'm doing, where I'm helping these manufacturers thrive, create good paying jobs, I'm out on the shop floor, I'm doing what I love. If you can find that job in northeastern Pennsylvania, I'll entertain the thought of coming home. So really, and ironically, it was my father who found the job, which was the controller position at the Northeast PA Industrial Resource Center. It was in the Sunday paper, and he cut that out, and it was on an index card that he mailed it to me at my home in Syracuse. No letter attached to it. No, this is for you. I knew without ever having to ask who sent that index card with that job opportunity.
You knew immediately.
I said, okay, I knew this was from my dad. And so I interviewed for the position, and the rest is kind of history, right? That's going back to 1998. I interviewed for that position, and I was fortunate enough to get the appointment of then the controller at the Northeast PA Industrial Resource Center, and I made it my sole focus, get this accounting job from 5 days a week to 3. Through whatever techniques I needed to do. At that time, Excel was still the spreadsheet that we used, and we still used Foxborough and some of the other accounting software. And I said, I'm going to get this down to a 3-day-a-week job.
Why?
Because the other 2 days a week, I want to be out on the shop floor.
Okay.
And I went to then the president CEO, and I said, if I get this accounting job down to 3 days a week, can I spend the other 2 days a week doing basically whatever the heck I want that's consistent with the mission of this organization? Can I represent our services? Can I go and do implementations? Can I implement lean? Can I help with our ISO services? Can I help with some of our training? He said, yeah, sure. If you get that down to 3 days a week, you could do whatever you want for the other 2. And so I could honestly say that through that, I've held just about every position within the organization. I've represented us as a business advisor. I've done lean implementations. I've done ISO implementations. I've done training and strategic planning. I've helped with our innovation engineering services. And so as I continued to move through the organization, I brought that knowledge with me and continued to expand that and grow my knowledge base. And I am where I am today because of that. But I really feel like I'm still, as you said, I'm still home. I'm still very passionate about it. And I know what I'm doing is helping to provide the kind of future for some family somewhere that my family was fortunate enough to have. And so that's what gets me up every morning and keeps me going.
So it's like a full circle moment for you.
Yeah, it's really been great, and it continues to be great. Every day that I my feet hit the floor in the morning, I know I'm off to do something that I'm really passionate about, I really believe in, and I can say firsthand, I know how important the work we do at the Northeast PA Industrial Resource Center is.
Absolutely. So all right, so tell me, what is NEPIRC?
NEPIRC, I can best describe us by our mission. Our mission is to ensure that our small to mid-sized manufacturers get the resources that they need to continue to remain competitive, to grow and thrive, to remain resilient and viable over the long term so they can continue to provide good paying jobs. So what does that mean? That means we need to provide only the best consultative services in some of the best practice areas that our small to mid-sized manufacturers need to implement or integrate in order to be competitive, but that aren't available at a price point and in a structure that they can afford and maintain over the long run locally. So we hire the best engineers to be on our team, the best trainers. We partner with the best affiliates so that we can help our companies address whatever they might need along the lines of continuous improvement, quality standards, leadership development, and key person succession planning, strategic planning, innovation. We try to meet them where they are, assess their needs. If we're a good fit for that, that's wonderful. If we're not a good fit, we refer them to a strategic partner, to another organization. They can pick up kind of where they need to be, and we just help them keep moving forward keep creating wonderful, good-paying, family-sustaining jobs that really drive our economy.
So let's talk about some of the things. You just mentioned a couple of them, but one of them that kind of stood out to me when I was, doing a little pre-homework was talent development. And I think, you can speak on it more, but, I'd say employees and talent is that one of the biggest challenges that you see in the workplace now is finding good talent, retaining that talent. How what is that like for you guys?
Yeah, it is a real challenge that's out there, and we're hearing a lot about the Great Resignation. We're hearing a lot about a lot of vacant jobs that are remaining vacant for a long period of time. There's a lot to talent development. If you're looking at technical skills, can you physically do a job? Do you have the skills necessary to do a welding job or a CNC programming job, machine and maintenance technician job? Those are covered very well, and we're very fortunate to have institutes of higher education and technology training right in our backyards, right, that do that very well. That's your Johnson colleges, your Keystone colleges, your LCCC, Luzerne County Community College, your Lackawanna College, as well as all your CTCs. I mean, they're doing a super job of instilling in our workers the technical skills that they need to perform their job well. But there is a void in the soft skills and the true leadership skills. And we've all heard another saying, right? People don't leave jobs. People leave their leaders, or people leave their supervisors. And as our manufacturers continue to see some churn in their employment base, and some of their more senior workers prepare for and actually do retire, there's this void of leadership. These folks that really need the soft skills to move from the line worker to now the supervisor and the leader and the team lead. And we help provide that training and that experiential learning for those folks so they could step up and be ready to lead, because it's a completely different skill set. You could be very good at your current position, but when you step up to that leadership role and now you have to lead by example, you have to handle conflict, you have to address diversity concerns and issues and opportunities, right? You have to make sure that you're doing proper job interviews as well as proper coaching and development. Those are all a different set of skills.
It's a whole new game.
Yeah, it's a whole new game. And if you do that wrong, there's going to be a lot of turnover underneath you. And that is ultimately going to be a real consequence to your manufacturer.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of leadership, because you touched on it a little bit there, so like what is your philosophy on effective leadership?
I feel I've learned more about leadership, I think, in the last 2 years than in the last 20. Just because we're doing a lot more reading on it at work. I was fortunate enough to go through some leadership programs as well at Cornell University. Did a lot of my own personal reading on it, and we have a great leadership coach at NEPIRC who I have a wonderful relationship with, that we could take off and put on our different hats, and he can push me to become a better leader, and I can confide in him when I'm having a leadership challenge. And Leo Gilroy is a great resource at NEPIRC, and we appreciate him and all of our team members very much. I've kind of made a decision or a conscious choice to really empower folks to do what they do best, and not always play that second guesser or that Monday morning quarterback, right? I really want to make sure that our team understands that they have the trust of those in the organization to do their area of execution on their own. And so far, they've really stepped up. We've been very fortunate to make some really good hires. We have a great team put together, and now it's just a matter of really empowering them, giving them the resources they need to do their job well, being there so that we catch them if they need us to. But that's different from being always looking over someone's shoulder. That's different from always saying, well, let me second guess that, or why haven't you done it this way? I'm getting them to realize I don't have all the answers. They do. My job is just to help them find those answers within themselves, or find the resources where they can get the answers that maybe they don't immediately have, but can get access to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a leadership by empowerment, really.
Gotcha. So do you think that's that has a trickle down effect on company culture?
I think so. I think so. I'm noticing that our team is really a lot more positive, optimistic, eager. They really want to do their best, because there's something that happens when you know that someone has entrusted something to you, whether it's a project, whether it's a certain client engagement, whether it's as a special initiative, the development of a new service, right? Whether it's just representing the organization at a particular function, right? Folks step up when you say, I know you have this, and thank you for taking this off of my plate. Right, and I know you're going to do an outstanding job, and you mean it sincerely, and they know that you mean that, and so culturally, everyone's stepping up. Everyone's saying, okay, how can I do this best? What can I do more? And it's really wonderful to have that kind of culture throughout our organization.
So also along those lines, I feel like we have to give Chelsea Costa a little shout out here, because when her and I were chatting about having you come on, I could just tell by her the conversation and how she was talking to me about you. She spoke so highly of you even before that. I think you even knew she was talking about you to me. Yeah. And she spoke very highly of you and of the organization. And, now here we are. So I think it's a testament to your leadership and, everything that you've done there at NEPIRC. Yeah.
Chelsea is a great asset. And we have about 12 other great assets at the office as well. But to the extent that you pointed her out, I'll take that ball and run with it.
Definitely.
Chelsea just did a PA Live segment for us, and I know you not too long ago had the producer of PA Live on as well.
Yeah.
And Chelsea was one of her first few guests, and it was one of those days, and I had something going on that I was supposed to do the interview with PA Live. And so it was that morning, and I had something else that really needed my attention. And I said, Chelsea, you have this. You've got this.
You passed the baton.
Yeah. I said, you've got this. And she just took the ball and ran with it. And we looked at that production and together and said, wow, Chelsea, like how far you've developed, right? Because when she first joined the organization, not only was she nervous because she was new to the organization, but she still had some skill sets she needed to work on by her own admission. In her public speaking and in her confidence in presenting. And so as many people have, she had a lot of ums and some hesitations there, and we worked on those, and she worked on those. She stood up, she took some online courses, then she excelled in those. And next thing you know, she's given a one and done interview with PA Live with the hot lights on.
Yeah, like we're under right now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like this was go time, and she does a one and done and did it exceptionally well. So yeah, you're right. Chelsea's awesome, and she's a great asset, and we're lucky to have her.
So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about, like some of the clients that you guys have, and, how does somebody get help from you guys? Like, how does it work?
It works a couple different ways. And I'm going to kind of differentiate our client base from active to more latent. Right now, first, let me paint the picture for you that northeastern Pennsylvania is home to about 1,000 manufacturers that together employ about 45,000 employees every day. It's about 11% of our total workforce. So there's a lot of small to mid-sized manufacturers out there. Some are what we would consider active, or what in business nomenclature would be considered an active client. They're pinging us for what we can do next with them in their journey towards enhanced productivity and long-term sustainability and growth. They're in our portfolio, and they'll let us know, hey, it's time for the next step in my continuous improvement journey, or hey, thank you for getting me quality certified in ISO or the AS, the automotive standard, or the TS, the transportation standard. Let's take that to the next level. So they're active within our portfolio. But many manufacturers are latent, meaning we need to reach out to them to let them know that we're here. And you made an earlier comment, right, about the branding. We want to get our brand out there so that we're not the best kept secret in northeastern Pennsylvania when it comes to manufacturing assistance. We want our manufacturers to know that we're out there to help them. We have great business advisors. Marla is a great asset to our organization. Brandon has been with us for a couple years now, and he's doing extremely well. So they'll do outreach to manufacturers to make sure that they are aware of what we offer, and our process. And our process is very simple. We'll come in and meet with the manufacturer and do a comprehensive assessment of whatever facet of their business they would prefer that we take a look at. People, process, or product is roughly the way in which we break down our assessments, right? We'll take a look at your people systems, your manufacturing processes, or your products, and are they aging out, and where are they in the life cycle of a product mix. But we'll take a look at that. We'll do the assessment, and that assessment is a value add right from the get-go. We'll hand that to you on your desk, and you can decide, I have the resources internally to implement these improvements. I have a cadre of consultants that I go to. That's perfectly fine. Or I don't have neither the internal resources nor the external relationships. Can you help me implement those? And NEPIRC will help implement those improvements that we recommend within the assessment report. That's our typical outreach. We also offer free lunch and learns, breakfast and learns, webinars, seminars, where our manufacturers can learn about some of the new technologies and best practices that are out there. And if they decide that that's right for them or they want to learn more, they can move forward with us.
So you got a lot going on.
Yeah, we do. We work with, out of that audience of about 1,000 manufacturers, we work with anywhere from 180 to 200 in any given year. Some, as you would imagine, more substantially than others. With a team of 14 professionals, we can't work with 200 companies that in depth. Some of our relationships are transactional. Hey, I just need that leadership training, or I just need this assessment done, or I just need to implement this particular facet of a website. I need to bring e-commerce capability to my website. Others are more comprehensive, but we have about a 20% market penetration when you look at it, and our numbers are very impressive when we stack up against our peer group.
What are some of the biggest challenges that manufacturers in NEPA are facing?
I think you touched upon one of them. Workforce is certainly a challenge. And I think that gets to really the underlying challenge, which is really the image of manufacturing and how we view and how our society views manufacturing, right? It's kind of like the workhorse, I think, in the classic book Animal Farm, right? It's the donkey that does all of the work, right? And there's other animals in Animal Farm that are more well known and a little bit more flamboyant, right, and a little bit more flashy. But at the end of the day, it's the donkey that needs to get the work done in Animal Farm. And so I think manufacturing is the economic engine that is often overlooked. And, I was speaking to some high school students just a few weeks ago, and I asked them, close your eyes and think of a phone, television, computer, and entertainment. I said, what did you think of? And they said, oh, well, my iPhone or my latest smartphone. Television was either a streaming service, right, or that latest, the latest, flat screen TV that they have in their room, right? I said, what do you think about when you thought about computers? I thought, well, my Surface Pro, my MacBook, even the computer that's still on my cell phone. So I thought of my cell phone again. Entertainment was streaming videos, right, satellite radio, and so forth. I said, now think about manufacturing. What'd you think of? And when they articulated what they were thinking of, it was like a 30 or 40-year-old vision of manufacturing.
What did they say?
Oh, well, there's a lot of sparks. There's like smoke. Oh, my uncle got hurt in manufacturing a while ago, right? Oh, well, that's where you go if you can't go to college. And
so it kind of had like a bad rap.
Yeah, it got this bad rap. And I said, well, wait a second. I said, here's some images, and I had the opportunity to use the PowerPoint for this particular presentation. And here's some images of manufacturing. I bet you didn't think of this. Well, if you're walking around with an old image of a telephone. None of you mentioned the rotary phone or the push button phone. And I showed pictures of that in the PowerPoint. None of you mentioned the console TV, and I showed pictures of that. None of you mentioned these classic television shows when I mentioned entertainment, and I showed this like All in the Family and Different Strokes and all the shows that were popular 30 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Right? I said, if you walked around with that image, you'd say, boy, is that antiquated.
It's old.
Get with the times. I said, but you have an older image in your mind of manufacturing, and we need to change that, because until we change that, I think our manufacturers are going to continue to struggle not only with workforce, but with overall expansion and growth and thriving, right? Because folks are always wondering, well, if that manufacturer down the street expands, does that mean more traffic, more noise, maybe a little bit more pollution? Like, what's that all about? Well, our manufacturers today are quieter, cleaner, better citizens than they've ever been. But if we still have that 40 or 30-year-old image of manufacturing, we're not that enthused about it. And I think that's what really our society needs to get a little bit more enthused about. And we really need to refresh that image of manufacturing. So I think manufacturers will tell you we're struggling with workforce. And that's true. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But one of the reasons they're struggling is because of that image of manufacturing.
How do we change that image?
I think we're doing a lot to change that image. You see some of what we're doing here, right? We're just making manufacturing look younger. We're creating more engaging videos that really show what manufacturing is all about. Many regions across Pennsylvania have a What's So Cool About Manufacturing video contest. We're getting out in schools a lot more and showing them the great products that are made in northeastern Pennsylvania in particular. We did a 570 day video that shows 70 products made right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. So we're trying to get out to the schools to really educate the kids. We're trying to create engaging videos that get adults, faculty members, and students more involved and engaged with manufacturing and what it's all about. And our manufacturers are stepping up as well and opening their doors and offering tours and getting out to more and more schools.
Yeah. So what type of opportunities are out there while we're on this topic? Like, are we talking like, some crazy Elon Musk robotics type stuff? Like what's going on?
I think there's a lot of different opportunities out there in manufacturing. We first have to address that there are still the conventional skills that many of us enjoy. It's not like welding has gone away. And when I speak to the young professionals who are in welding right now, they love it. They still love that making something with your hands. So if that's right for you, there's many jobs that pay very well, offer excellent benefits, one of which, by the way, is college tuition reimbursement, right? So you could still pursue your degree, right,
and be a welder.
While being a welder and making
a lot of money,
a pretty good wage,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So there's still that hands-on manufacturing. But when you also take a look at what else is out there, you're right. We're programming robots. We're programming CNC machines. We're tending to 5-axis, 6-axis CNC machines. We're doing 3D printing. So there's so many more high-tech jobs that are out there. Automation is really taking over those routine jobs, those jobs that were very difficult to fill. They weren't ergonomically pleasing, right? A lot of repetitive movement, right? Twisting tops on castor oil bottles, and stuff like that, right? I mean, you don't need to do that all day long. So our manufacturers are embracing automation to take over those tasks, and it's opening up newer jobs for those newer workers, the programming, the maintenance techs, working with the CNC machines, working with the robots. It's really a whole new world out there, and wages are increasing accordingly.
Yeah. So what would you say is your or what do you love most about manufacturing?
Oh, wow. That's a tough.
That's like asking like who's your favorite child, I guess, kind of
yeah,
thing, right?
I mean, that's tough. There's a lot that goes into that answer, and I think that our manufacturers make products that bring someone in some way enjoyment every day, enjoyment or safety, right, or nourishment, like every day. There's something about making a product that you mayn't know exactly where it ends up. But I know if I'm a DoD contractor, I'm defending our freedoms somewhere, in some way. The product that I make might play a pivotal role in protecting our freedoms, or at the very least, protecting one of our warfighters. If I'm making a food product, whether it's the container that the food is in or the food product itself, I'd like to think, and maybe I'm being a Pollyanna about it, but maybe that brought that family happiness in a meal together, right? Or helped someone celebrate a birthday. Or maybe ended up being donated to a food pantry where it gave someone nourishment for a day, right? If I'm making a particular item, I mayn't know exactly where it ends up, But by golly, I got to believe that it's creating some good somewhere, some level of happiness and contentment and security. If I'm out at Cheetah Chassis and I'm making a truck chassis, I don't know what that truck is ultimately going to transport. But maybe it's transporting the lumber for someone's first home. Maybe it's transporting a good or a product that needs to get to market to create an even better product, or a building that is going to be used for as a veteran shelter. How do I know? But I got to think that there's some good in everything that we produce.
I think you're right, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's the value. I think that's what's most important about manufacturing.
Yeah, because you know, like you said, kind of going back to those high school kids, like if you would have asked them or had this conversation with them, they, because they're so young too, but like even somebody my age, like people don't realize what all goes into manufacturing and the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
And what it really takes to make, like you said, you named a few products, but all that effort and all the technology and all the resources and everything backing that manufacturer, like what all that takes to make that product. Like it's, it doesn't just happen overnight.
Right. And then the downstream jobs. And I mean, we can get into the economists talk real easy on this, right? About indirect jobs and downstream jobs and creating discretionary wealth and all that. And I could just have easily expanded upon that. But I think your question was a more personal one towards me as to
definitely.
What I think is the most important thing about manufacturing. I mean, there's the song that was out, Hey, Look, Ma, I Made It, and I always wanted to create a video about manufacturing to the song, Hey, Look, Mom, I Made It, right? Because there's something about making things. And even when we accomplish something in life, we say, I made it. Like, I think there's something inside of us that understands the need to make. And that's why things like when you're a child, right? The Tinker toys and the Erector sets and all the little things you had when you were a kid.
You were building.
You're building. And even now, even video games have you building things. Even if it's just figuratively speaking, you're building your
digitally.
own kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Right? You're building something. And I think there's something about making that just is critically important to us as people and to us as a community.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so a lot of manufacturing stuff going on in your life, right? Like how do you stay motivated?
It's easy. I mean, I drive past manufacturers every day on my way to work, and so that keeps me motivated. I think that recollecting my childhood and the way that we grew up keeps me motivated. I think that looking at the younger generation and what they need to have in place for them to continue to do well and thrive, right? Because every family wants that generation to do better than them, right? I mean, in my opinion, that's the goal of a healthy family. Is you want to say, I want my kids to fare better than I, and hopefully their kids will fare better than them. And I think that manufacturing is part of the keys to that. So I think that keeps me motivated. And I think at a higher level, we have to address, our society, our country has to address the whole generational poverty issue, right? Which is at a big grand picture, what I think manufacturing has the capability of really making a serious contribution to, if not defeating, is that tendency towards generational poverty and why families do have such difficulty in moving forward economically. And manufacturing, I think, is one way that we can solve that problem and crack that nut.
So, as a leader of an organization, like how do you continue to learn? Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do to learn? Do you read books? Do you go to courses? Like, what do you do?
Read a lot. I read a lot. I network as much as I can,
as humanly possible.
Yeah. Right. You network as much as you can. Surround yourself with folks smarter than yourself, and I do take some college courses as well. I was fortunate to get my certificate in diversity, equality, and inclusion from Cornell University recently. So we're working on incorporating that into our organization and bringing that to some of our manufacturers. A lot of it is self-directed. Just a lot lot of reading, a lot of reading, which I really enjoy because we have some book clubs at work that we engage with other manufacturing executives about what they're reading and what we're reading, and we talk about that. We have an executive network itself at work that I participate in with other manufacturing CEOs, so that's a lot of fun. And we have national conferences as well about manufacturing that I'll attend and really try to drink all that knowledge in and just take back those little things that we could implement at NEPIRC or that I could implement myself to try to make myself a little bit of a better person.
The CEOs, like the peer groups, like, there are organizations out there available for people like yourself, and other presidents, CEOs, or just executives in general that could, kind of get together as peer groups and chat about things going on. Like what goes on in that world?
It depends on what model you're looking at. One of the things that we have found helpful is what we call the model of the fast burn. And in a fast burn environment, when you're networking with your C-level executives, and let's say there's 12 of us in a room, and it's my 15 minutes of fame, I'll mention my fast burn, which is what's keeping me up at night, what is causing me the most concern at a work context. And then I have the other CEOs around the room in a non-accusatory way. They're this is not.
Yeah, they're not bashing you.
They're not beating you up.
Yeah.
But they're asking explorative questions, or they're offering their perspective from when they were in those similar shoes, or an anecdotal story, or they're trying to help you kind of reason through that. And then when my 15 minutes are over, it rotates to the next chair, and then it's their turn for the fast burn. So this could be a 2.5 to 3 hour meeting quite easily. But I'm not only getting to air my challenge in my fast burn, but I'm also getting to listen to 11 others, right? And I'm participating, hopefully, in the solution set for that, or pointing that person at least in a different direction, which may or may not be right for them. But I'm also hearing 10 other people, right, say, hey, this is how I would handle that.
Yeah, this
or
was
have
my
you thought
experience
about this? Or boy, this similar thing happened to me. So you're getting the benefit of that. It's an excellent process for me to both listen and participate in the problem solving process.
So is there anything that either you personally or NEPIRC, the organization in general, like, is there anything like any new big initiatives or anything else that you guys are working on? Like what's going on?
Yeah, we have a lot going on. We recently launched our multimedia studio, which is allowing our manufacturers to add video content to their websites, as well as video content to their trade show booths, and when they are out at job fairs, to add video content there. So that's exciting. We have our Innovation Space Lab, which is our 3D printing facility. So we're working to get more manufacturers to engage in that. We've recently come off of a very successful manufacturing day, which was held in May. So we're excited about that. That's coming at us again in October.
Yeah, what is manufacturing day? Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, Manufacturing Day is the one day nationally that celebrates the importance of manufacturing to our country, and in Pennsylvania to our Commonwealth, and for NEPIRC's case, in our community. It's held the first Friday of every October. But because of COVID and other concerns, the October of 2021 event was pushed to May of 2022. So we're just coming off, we're on the heels of that right now. And October of 2022, that first Friday will be, we're going to celebrate that with a career fair, where we'll be really promoting the jobs that are available in manufacturing. But it's that one day a year that really acknowledges the importance of manufacturing. Regions will celebrate differently. We've always done ours with an expo and a trade show. We're bringing a job fair to the 2022 event because workforce is such a critical issue, and making sure folks are aware of the jobs that are available in manufacturing is so important. Others offer plant tours. Some regions just have kind of a press event or a different showcase that they put on. But we're really hoping that our October 2022 event is going to be a really great event and help connect folks with appropriate careers in manufacturing.
So you're really going all in on this.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Our May event was the biggest ever, and we're looking to continue to grow.
Awesome. That's really exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what does the future of manufacturing look like here in NEPA?
Oh, that's an interesting question too, right?
Yeah.
I left the crystal ball home, but I
thought you brought it. I thought it was one of these.
All the swag I brought, I did not bring the NEPIRC crystal ball.
Ah, shucks.
But I do have a couple of expectations. I think one of the things we have to realize is that we do have the components necessary, and by that I mean our manufacturing base, to really play an active role in the aerospace supply chain. And I know it sounds funny to say that space travel and space exploration is becoming a reality, but it is. And our manufacturers who are currently in the Department of Defense supply chain can easily transition into the aerospace supply chain, both Department of Defense, Starfleet,
Wow, that's fascinating.
And commercial. So they have the capabilities. Our plastics manufacturers have those capabilities.
They already can do this.
Well, I mean, there's some modifications to their processes, obviously.
But
if you take a look at their core competencies, I would argue that their core competencies are such that they can transition into those supply chains with the proper level of assistance, right? I mean, it's not going to happen overnight.
Sure.
But they really have to take a look at what are our core competencies. We're already making things to very, extreme specifications, right? To very scrutinizing customers, the Department of Defense, right?
Yeah.
Or existing aerospace suppliers and buyers. Right, so why can't we transition into this fast-growing aerospace, space travel, unmanned aviation vehicle, aka drone supply chains? Right, so I think we're going to see our manufacturers go there. I think we're going to see our manufacturers really embrace automation for those tasks that just are very difficult to fill, right? Those jobs that are very difficult to fill. So we're going to see them uptake automation at a much greater rate than they currently are, because they're starting to embrace that right now. And I think that we're going to see our region become a lot more diverse, which I think is really going to bring with it some great opportunities for growth, because the diversity of ideas, the diversity of ways of thinking and tackling problems, I think is going to become one of our competitive advantages going forward. And we're seeing that happen already in some of our communities. And I'm looking forward to seeing even more of that happen. But when you take a look at really the permits that have been given for commercial properties, you're going to see dynamic growth in the next 5 years. One of the workshops that we were at said that, and I might get a year or two wrong here, so forgive me, but from 1953 to current, it was either 1953 to current year or 1956 to current year, our region along the 81 corridor erected 90 million square feet of commercial space of all types: warehousing, manufacturing, retail, but 90 million square feet of commercial space under roof from, I think, either 1953 or 56 to current. Right now, there's permits for another 70 million square feet under roof along the 81 corridor, which is from the southern tip of Hazleton to the New York State border.
For within the next 5 years. So we're going to almost double.
Correct.
In 5 years.
Correct.
Wow.
So think about that. And think about the growth we're going to see, not just in manufacturing, but in businesses that support manufacturing, in logistics and transportation as well. And then kind of let your mind play with that, what that does with housing, right? What that does with the need for accommodations, right? Apartment complexes, townhouses,
the economy in general.
Right. I mean, you're really going to see, I think, our economy blossom over the next 5 to 7 years. I think manufacturing is going to be on the front end of that.
Wow, this is good information.
Yeah. It's really great. I was at that particular board meeting where that was presented, and I was like, okay, where can I get my hands on some multi-unit properties? Right?
Yeah.
Because we're at capacity right now. In terms of housing. So we really need to grow really efficiently, really quickly.
Wow. So they're also probably working on that spaceship they're going to send me and you to Mars in, right?
Yeah.
Somebody.
We could. If we can colonize, we'll be in good shape. As long as it's the products are made in Pennsylvania. Yeah. The first piece of equipment to land on the moon, coincidentally, was made in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
The
Fun
feet,
fact.
the feet of the lunar lander were made in Pennsylvania.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yes. So there you go, a little trivia. So why can't we be the first on Mars as well?
Right. Yeah. We gotta get Elon Musk involved here.
Yeah. Well, he's owning Twitter now. So
it's official. That's it. Yeah. Yep. So we'll be tweeting from Mars.
Yep.
Well, this was really cool. I appreciate you coming in, and this was really cool. It was cool to learn more about you and your passion for manufacturing. And I just, I could just see it. I know I feel like I've said this a million times on my show, but I love having people on here that are just super passionate about what they do. And, your passion for manufacturing in this area and just building this whole thing out. Like, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next 5 years. And we're going to look back at this show.
Yeah, right.
In 5 years.
You heard it here.
You heard it here. Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that. And I do a lot of presentations in high schools to try to get students more aware of careers in manufacturing. And one thing I tell them, and I mean it sincerely because I can see that they're wondering what's this guy going to talk about, is that I'm not there to sell them on a career in manufacturing. I would like them to say no to a career in manufacturing if, from a position of knowledge, they can say it's not right for me, as opposed to out of a position of ignorance or not being aware of what manufacturing has to offer. But at the end of the day, they need to pick a career, a calling that's going to make them happy. Right, because we all know that life is kind of short, and so everyone deserves to live with the passion for what they do. And when you think about it, you spend more time at work than you do during your working years than you do with your family. Right?
Yeah.
And you've got to make sure that you care about what you do. And I know tomorrow I'll be reporting to an office with 13 other professionals that care about what they do and rally around the mission. And that's a really good place to be.
Yeah, definitely. So how can our listeners connect with NEPIRC online?
They could find us on Facebook. They could find us on LinkedIn. Our website is ouracronym.com, so they can connect with us there. We're very active on our social media. It's always value-added content. So I hope that your listeners and your followers will say, hey, let me take a look at what that's all about. We also have our own YouTube channel, so I'm hoping that some folks will check in on that as well.
So subscribe to your YouTube channel.
You got to subscribe. You
Yeah.
got to hit the red button.
Absolutely, 100%.
Hit the bell, as they say.
Yeah, I gotta tell people to hit the bell on my show too. I'm fairly new on YouTube myself here, so hopefully we'll pick up some new subscribers.
Let's hope so.
Yeah,
you deserve them. We both do, right?
Yeah,
and our region does.
Yeah,
so.
It was a stellar episode here, and like I said, I appreciate you coming on. And we didn't even talk about our superhero over here. We've had this up the whole time.
Yeah, we did not. We did not talk about our superhero who is badly in need of a name.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
You were telling me that. Yeah.
We really want to get this character a name.
So how do we do that?
Well, you tell me. I mean, listen, if folks want to respond to you with a name, we don't have a channel yet. We're operating within high schools, and we have our superhero up in some high schools with a naming contest that they can turn in to their guidance counselors. But in terms of if one of your listeners were to have a recommendation, I defer to you.
Okay.
As to how they can let you know or let me know the proposed name for our manufacturing superhero. But we need to get him or her out there because our superhero comes along with me to the schools. And the stickers and the tattoos are out there, and the kids love them. And we're doing a new campaign as well, where kind of like Where is Waldo? We're going to be putting our superhero in different manufacturing plants, and you have to kind of guess where he's at or where she is at. So, but we're looking for a name. So
there it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully somebody listening or watching can toss some names your way.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, and I'll take submissions if anyone wants to send them to me. I don't care. Send them comments, send me a message, whatever. I'll make sure I pass them along to you guys.
It just can't be named Bill.
Why not?
I will know. What? I will know that there was a play in here. If Bill came out as a good name.
Yeah. All right. This is great. Again, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking the time. And like I said, I look forward to seeing what else you guys are doing in the future. And keep doing what you're doing. Well,
thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure being here, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Eric Esoda, NEPIRC on the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door Studio. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
If you want to see more On the Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthestackspodcast or search the hashtag OnTheStacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on the stacks.